Hmm. What a fun couple of days, right? I'm gonna be honest. For a second there, my finger kind of hovered over the mouse, was the icon over the go live button, and I was like, I really don't want it. This is like I've said it a couple times now on this channel. This is like the worst part of doing the YouTube thing is normally like you like beforehand, before I started the channel, like I would watch these games, I would see these results and performances, and then I would be bummed for the day, and then I'd move on. Now I got to relive this shit. Oh boy, yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, so after that really bad performance leads to a 1-all draw against Fulham on Sunday, and then we somehow claw back a 2-0 deficit to force a shootout on pens against Grimsby Town in the first our first asking of the EFL Cup this season. After about 87 pens, we we go out. We exit the EFL Cup in the second round proper. Which honestly, just watching the performance, I'm not even shocked. I mean, we're gonna get into all that though. Not gonna be a typical kind of three things analysis kind of thing. We're gonna be talking a little bit more kind of broader perspective kind of stuff today when it comes to this. We will go back and look in the match. We will look at individual stuff, but I'm more concerned on big picture kind of stuff. And so we're going to get a little abstract today, but we're going to get into all of that. We'll talk a little bit of transfer stuff towards the end of it because there's not a lot, but just it is what it is. So I know it's hard. I know nobody is positive today, but like the video, please subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check those memberships to learn how you can get more involved in the channel. Go check out the UVE store. You can get sweet swag like the Class of 92 shirts. And yeah, every little bit helps the channel, guys. We're on the road to 3K, so make sure you like and subscribe and hit the bell, share it, tell your sister, tell your dad, tell your wife, tell everybody. Do what you got to do. So let's get stuck in. First and foremost, you guys. Whoa, lots, lots of. You guys are already deep into it before I even showed up. I like that. I like the community. Don't wait for me to show up. As soon as this video is posted, just start your chat, and it's all good. Box, big up box says lost for word. Yeah, I wish I could say I'm lost for words because if you look at my notes, there are a lot of words. Now, there aren't quite any words I think that are big enough to really encapsulate all of everything. That's why there are so many words because we got to go through each one. But I hear you, man. Thanks for stopping by. By does not think it's going to be fixed. It's just going to get worse and worse. It is hard to see a way out, right? It is definitely hard to see a way out. And we're going to talk about it. It's hard to pinpoint the problem, which means it's going to be infinitely harder to pinpoint the solution, right? It seems like nothing is simple. There's no single place to kind of point the finger and say that's the problem, that's the reason. Like, as you guys look in the poll, we've done a poll earlier on the community tab. Like, if nobody can really agree and kind of come to an acceptance of what the issue is, it's how are we going to come up with a solution, a way out of it? Um, Teresa, welcome back. Seems like you are super active in the chat today. I'll read through a couple of them. I don't. It seems like you're having a bit of a discussion though with some of these, so I don't want to get through all of them. Teresa says she's kept silent as the United fans are toxic. Yeah, they are. We can be. Do we actually believe Ruben Amorim coaches that? So you're saying that what we saw was not what Amorim wanted. I agree, but I think that might raise more concerns than anything. If the players are going rogue and they're not doing it, either they're incapable or they're just refusing, and either one is an issue. One of it is Amorim might have lost the dressing room issue. The other one is we still have a lot of work to do on rebuilding this squad kind of issue, which means probably more suffering than solutions. But welcome back. You guys, she's saying everyone slammed Ruben for dropping Onana. He had the number 2, so he gave the fans. I don't even think it's a matter of giving the fans what they wanted through Onana. And I was just talking to Justin on the phone, and we'll talk more about this. Like, until we sign a new keeper, Onana is the keeper that we have. And so you can't just leave him on the bench. I would like to, but at the end of the day, you've got to think it's the same with why we saw so many rotated players. Everyone's got to stay fit. Everyone's got to get up to speed. And honestly, Amorim should have been able to stay home yesterday. He shouldn't have even had to go to the match. Like, and no offense, it's like fourth division Grimsby Town. Nobody should have had any issues with this, and yet here we are. And so that's why I asked the question, like, how much more could Amorim have done? But we'll talk more about that, though. I've got a lot here. Yes, Teresa, he did look livid. You're getting way ahead of me, though. Box says everyone's responsible. Players, managers, owners, all responsible. Silly to 100% blame Amorim, or silly to 100% absolve him of any blame. Yeah, everybody's, I think, got a little piece of the humble pie that they've got to swallow right now. Teresa says, does everyone enjoy making the coach as an uneducated person? He makes wrong decisions. His subs are incorrect. He keeps picking the same old, same old. How ridiculous indeed. No one is perfect. But yeah, there are a lot of toxic insults, and I think it's try to stay off social media after a result like this is the best thing I could tell you, because it's going to be a lot of knee jerk. Everybody is got a lot of bass in their chest when they're sitting behind a keyboard. It is what it is. I'm more concerned about what Amorim says. I'm more concerned about what we see on the pitch and things like that. So, but thank you guys for stopping by. No, you're not going to be blocked, Teresa. I like that you guys are having discussions. I like that you guys are getting involved even without me. Sometimes I don't read all the chats out loud because some of them are you guys talking with each other, and I don't want to kind of get in the middle of that. So, Danny, big up, man. Yes, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Danny already going hard. My dog could tell me we needed a keeper and a midfielder in May. That's on the board. Jim should sack them and players. I've said going into this, we needed big help in keeper. I did not trust any keeper we had. And so, yeah, that is, I think, where it's kind of share a lot of the blame. Again, if it's not the system, right, and it's the players, then that's a problem. It just shows we have a lot of work to do. If you guys think it is a system, now, again, remember, system is not formation. System and formation are different things. They're not the same thing. But if it is the system that Amorim's trying to incorporate, the slow build up, the using the width, those kind of things, and it's a matter of just the players not getting it, whatever you want to say, like, then that's an Ineos thing, because the reason Liverpool didn't go with Amorim when they met with him was not because they didn't think he was good enough. It's because Liverpool were 10 years into a rebuild, and Amorim would have, the way he plays, the system, the players that they would needed to get for him would have meant a complete rip it all up and start over again, which is really what we needed to do at United. And so I get why one club didn't go for him and one club did. But again, if Ineos stick with Amorim with this system, it's going to take time. It's going to take getting rid of some of these players. It's going to take time. Now, I'm not saying that means we just wait however many years necessarily, because again, Amorim's got responsibility to get results. That doesn't mean I think he has to change his formation and shit like that, because that's not going to happen. But he's got to find a way to get results, and that's down to him motivating the squad. So we're getting way ahead of ourselves. Kai, big up. Please don't start Onana. Oddly enough, like, Onana was shit for 90 minutes, largely to blame for that corner that we conceded. I thought he wasn't bad in the shootout necessarily. He got his hand to at least 4 or 5 of those. He did make a save, but again, just some of the dives he was doing in the shootout were like Jordan Pickford level. Like, it just looked like theatrical the way he was diving. It was like he was in a photo shoot and someone said, "All right, give me a dive, Onana," and he was like, "Ma!" I'm like, "What are you doing, dude?" Yeah, Danny, no tactics were needed. Literally, like, you could have put anybody. You could have started the under 21s, and I think we should have had a result at least there. Like, that's embarrassing. Jay, welcome back. Says, all Ineos have done this summer is spent money on firepower front three, not an overhaul. Ineos haven't fully recruited for Amorim's system. While there should be signs of patterns of what he's trying to do, not judging him just yet. Yeah, it's going to take time. Rebuilds, again, anyone thinking that we were going to get 6-7 players in the summer needs to just temper their expectations and be a little bit more realistic. It was going to take time. It needed to be about priorities. I do concern myself with the fact that it's taking a long time, and it did take a long time to get Mbeumo, to get a striker. Now it's taking longer to get a keeper. I don't know what's going on with midfield. Like, it needed to be about prioritization and expediency. That was my one demand going into the summer. Get your priorities in line, start working out, and get these players in before preseason. It's no coincidence that the best looking player that we've signed this summer has been Cunha, because we got him early June. Dorgu, been here since January, already looking like he's up for it. Like, this shows you, and this is why I wanted players to get signed early, so we wouldn't be in this mess where we're going late July, and we have to wait for them to kind of get settled in. And Mbeumo doesn't really look fit yet. Šeško's his first start. We still don't have a keeper. We might not even get a midfielder. We need a midfielder. Like, and that's where the blame can lie on Ineos. It's really annoying. And he does need more than what he has, Jay. He needs a lot of players. But again, this wasn't going to happen in one summer. Now, I'm not saying that that's an excuse for another year of 15th and getting knocked out of the EFL Cup against a fourth division side. But Amorim's got to find a way to get results. And we're going to talk about him. We haven't even started the stream yet, really. I'm just going through the chats for a second. But I agree, man. Johnny, what up, man? Personally, though, I can't back Amorim because of his refusal to adapt. The best managers always adapt. Well, I think I would say I disagree and I agree and disagree. I agree with Amorim when he says it's not about a formation, because I don't think it's about a formation. There's no reason three center backs should be conceding this many crosses from this many balls into the box. We have an extra center back on the pitch at any given moment in time than anybody else, and for some reason we are the worst when it comes to defending balls into the box. That's a problem. And if you notice, it's the same players that are conceding. I don't really I can blame Fredrickson because he completely left that player unmarked for that first goal. But like, how harsh can you be with guys like Heaven and Fredrickson when they're teenagers and they're like literally fresh from the academy? But again, Harry Maguire. Now, I'm not going to go too hard on Maguire because he's been fine, but at the same time, the reason he's no longer captain, the reason he's a big part of why we concede a lot of goals from these set pieces is a mentality thing. The guy is not assertive. He's not aggressive. He doesn't go and attack those balls. He's always on the back foot. That's a problem. Same players. We're going to talk about it. Danny says, oh, when I say adapt, I don't mean formation. I mean his decision making. Oh, yeah. I mean, team selection is shit for sure. We'd said that. But again, last night, you should have been able to put pretty much anybody out there, and we should have been able to do better than that. We heavily rotated, probably played a role. A lot of players who aren't familiar with each other, a lot of players who are still getting up to speed. I think that maybe it was just too many kind of planets aligning in the worst way possible. I don't know. But what are you guys saying so far in the poll? We're going to talk about Amorim. I put a poll out in the chat. You guys get involved in that as we go along. What do you think is going to happen? Wow, I just realized there's so many typos in there. Why didn't you guys tell me there's so many typos? This is what happens when I try to multitask typos. But yes, get involved. Do you think he will be sacked during this upcoming break? Do you think Ineos will stick with him? Do you think he'll be sacked in the summer, or do you think he'll walk away on his own? It's supposed to say own, it says one, because I can spell. So get your guys' thoughts in there, because I have thoughts on that as well, and I think Amorim's comments kind of made me sway a certain way in that regard. So let's go on here, because again, same shit, different day, and I posted this, I tweeted it. It's a lot of the mistakes we're seeing are the mistakes we've been seeing for years, not just under Amorim. We saw these mistakes under Ollie and under Ten Hag as well. Ball watching, not defending the back post when that cross in the box, which is, Fredrickson. I don't go too harsh on him because he's young. That's on Onana, that's on Maguire to, talk to him. And it's a problem too. We don't talk to each other. But he's ball watching. He gets sucked too centrally, just completely misses the guy at the back post. And we've been doing that for years. You guys remember when RB Leipzig destroyed us in the Champions League under Ollie? Exactly goals like that. Wan-Bissaka ball watching, sucked into the box. What's Angelino just unmarked at the back post? Boom, we're down 1-0. Another same shit, different day. Concede that second goal from, you guessed it, a corner, with Onana showing once more why he needs to be benched and sold. And like the locks need to be changed at Carrington when he shows up, because the dude is so bad at coming off his line. And you can see that it's not even just that he's bad when he does it. It's he doesn't know what to do, when to do it. He's so hesitant, and then he waits until it's too late. And then this is the kind of shit that happens. I don't know how you can come off. You're the only one who's allowed to use your arms, and you come out of there in that situation and you completely miss the ball. You got two hands and you completely miss the ball. You end up bear hugging the opposition player like you're fucking holding him up on the front of the Titanic, like you're DiCaprio. And we concede a goal because it just trickles in. Like, the guy needs to go. He glued to his line, misses the ball. Honestly, he's so bad. Lamens can't get here soon enough, in my opinion. Lamens would have been all over that. He would have punched that shit all the way to the opposition box. And then 2-0 down, same shit, different day, heads drop, like we've seen countless times over the last several years. I mean, and by the time Amorim made the changes in the second, it was too late. Grimsby they stopped pressing high in numbers, like I said they would to start the match. They were happy to sit in that low block, kind of press a little bit with the striker, but they were happy just to sit back and hit us on a counter at that point, which they're entitled to do. They're fourth division in the cup against United, sitting at home. They're already 2-0 up. they don't have to do shit. And we just couldn't come up with a solution, which forced us to do what Amorim does year in, year out, maybe until we get players. I don't know, but just recycle possession, hoof it in the box. Hopefully somebody gets on the end of it. Recycle possession, find Bruno, hoof it in the box. Hope somebody gets on the end of it. Granted, it did lead to an equalizer, but like that's where we're at right now. Like that's our solution. It was what we did against Arsenal too. Like it's and I partly blame Amorim, but I partly blame the fact that we don't have good enough players. But I'm like, that can't be the only solution to when we need a goal. Like that's just so uninspiring, and I can't imagine how the players feel. Like, oh, we need a goal. Like, what are we gonna do, boss? Everybody get in the box. Harry, get the back stick, head it back across the goal. Bruno, just hoof it and see what happens. Like it's so uninspiring. It really is. And then you guys know that has been one of my biggest criticism of Amorim since last year, really. Let's see what y'all are saying. Rob thinks Onana had an eye test. Dude, he's so bad. He's just so bad, dude. Kai, big up Kai. Any news on Lamens? We'll talk about that a little bit later on, man. Johnny says, nah, it's not Onana's fault. He was just trying to keep behind here in the team. Onana's done his job. All right. He's done his job. He got Mbumo over the line. If he would have gotten Baleba over the line, then Onana, we could have parted ways amicably. I would have wished him the best of luck. But now I just want to just say, hey, we're going on a walk, bud. Let's go. Yeah, we're going. Yeah, after you. And then just close the door and lock it behind him and say, fuck off. You're done. You're done. You're done. I don't care if you left your keys here. You can walk home, bro. Baxi says, Ugarte was the biggest letdown. 50 million, he can't command an area, period. Not good enough. Yeah. And we're going to talk a little bit about Ineos signings, because on the whole, I do think that the Ineos signings have been the standouts when it comes to mentality. Not all of them have been the standouts when it comes to ability and quality, but mentally, from a mental standpoint, they have been the standouts in terms of just compared to the other players. And so you guys let me know. What were you guys saying? Danny says, never wanted him here in the first place. Yeah, I mean, that was Ten Hag just wanting somebody for building out from the back with it. On Onana, for all the Amorim outers, or sorry, on Amorim, for all the Amorim outers, I mean, I want your honest opinions here and try to get out of the feelings for a hot second. What else could Amorim really do yesterday? Like I said, he really should not have showed up. He shouldn't have had to, because it's 4th Division Grimsby Town. And try not to be offensive, but anybody should have been able. They should have been able to do a contest for a fan to come in and be a guest gaffer for that match, and we should have been able to see out that result very easily. Like it's ridiculous. And his football to start the season was good. I mean, yes, we lost against Arsenal, but he got us into situations where we set up 22 shots. 15 shots were from inside the box. We bettered Arsenal in literally almost every single metric, and we still couldn't get it down. If not for a fluky corner, again, another corner, we could have had something from that match. You can't coach resilience. You can't reach into players' heads and their hearts and just make them, stop dropping their heads. It's so impossible. And I'm not trying to just say that from this fallacy standpoint of argument from authority because I'm a mental health professional. It doesn't mean that I'm right and I'm shutting it down. I'm just saying, whether you've taught or whether you have kids or whether, like me, you've worked with individuals, like working on mindset and emotions and that kind of stuff is so difficult because everybody's so different. It's not easy. It's not going to be an overnight thing. You can't just magically make them better. That's impossible to do. And I think Amorim is really starting to understand, these players are shit, dude. The players and even Ineos, like I said, probably need to share the blame. The players are not performing. Aside from Cunha, like I said, the new signings don't look up to speed yet. But that's what happens when you wait months and months to sign these players. What happens when you take almost a month and a half to sign Mbumo, when you wait until the end of July or mid-August or whatever it was to get Shesko over the line. That's what happens when you wait so long. It's the one thing I said we needed to avoid, and it's the one thing that we fucking did, and it's infuriating as all hell. And Mbumo doesn't look fit. Neither him or Shesko are in sync with their teammates. People wanted us to start Kabi. He started Kabi. How did Kabi do in his audition, basically, for that, being that midfield role? I didn't think Kabi was awful. I thought towards later in the game, when we needed something and it fell to him to kind of be the dictator, I thought that a lot of his passing went a little wayward. Didn't help that it was pissing rain, but I thought a lot of his passes were off, and he did too. You could see he was frustrated with himself. I'm not going to go too harsh on him because he's young. He doesn't have experience being the guy that we look to in those situations, but the passing was definitely sloppy. Again, he had to play Onana a lit. I mean, I didn't want him to, but again, we don't have a new keeper yet. And until we do, Onana's going to probably be our number one, and he's got to get up to speed. I don't like it. It's just the way it works. It's freaking is what it is at some point. Let me see what you guys are saying before I move on here. I got a sign, got to scroll up. Mad Hatter, welcome back, dude. I'm glad I decided to play Helldivers over watching the game. I called Pens. I don't know what Helldivers is, but it sounds like just almost being a United fan at the moment. Feels like we're in hell. So, Rob, welcome back, Mad Hatter. Rob says, I don't know Ugarte was on the pitch till he shoulder barged someone. Yeah, that's Ugarte doing Ugarte things, man. Ahmad, how'd you guys think Ahmad did in that 10 role? I saw somebody post online ahead of kickoff when the starting 11 came out, and they literally complained that because Ahmad was in the 10, that means Amorim doesn't know where to play him. That's not how this works. Amorim wants players who can play multiple positions. He wants 10s who can play wide, who can also play 9s. Ahmad can play wingback. He can play a 10. This is how it works. Bruno can play 10s, can play deep. Arguably, maybe. This is how it works. So this is why you got to not go on social media, man. It's ridiculous. It only makes you mad. Bexy says a Fulham game was the measuring stick. Say we haven't kicked on. Second game in, yes, but Amorim's first season was abysmal. Burnley is not an easy game now. Yeah, we're going to talk about Burnley tomorrow. We'll do that preview, so be sure to come back for that. Could be later on tonight, though. I haven't decided yet. Ten Hag didn't even want him, Ugarte. Yeah, I don't think Ten Hag wanted necessarily to get rid of him to McTominay, but I think he liked McTominay. So Danny says Ashworth signing Ugarte. Is that a legitimate thing, or is that just us wanting to blame Ashworth because we don't like Ashworth and we don't like Ugarte? I'm asking honestly. I'm not trying to challenge you. I just don't know legitimately. It's hard to know who signed what, man. Bexy says Amorim doesn't have time. He has to remedy issues ASAP. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like it is going to take time. Like I said, if we stick with Amorim, we have to be prepared for this painful process of a rebuild. But again, Amorim's got to show us that the faith in that and the backing is warranted. He's got to find a way to get results. I'm not saying he's got to abandon his principles. He's got to find a way to get results. Otherwise, Ineos will find someone who can. Rob says, last time this happened, losing to MK Dons in the second round, Van Gaal went busy in the transfer market. Remember, we got knocked out to Middlesbrough, too, in the exact same fashion. Like, it has happened in the past. I'm sure it's happened with better sides under Fergie, too. Like, it does happen. I am Titanium. Welcome back. I'm embarrassed. Well, don't be embarrassed. I mean, we're not the ones on the pitch. We can be annoyed. We can be frustrated. We could be angry. But you're not the one out there doing it, man. So you don't worry. Faxi says, at the start of the season, by a midfielder, 3 attackers was a mistake. Again, we're behind the 8 ball. Yeah, I mean, again, this is part of where it could fall on Ineos. I don't know what the chats they say. They're constantly talking. There's all sorts of meetings. I don't know. Maybe we should have had less meetings and more meetings with, Brentford to get Mbeumo over the line quicker than a month and a half. Danny says, 100%. Been saying that here before last season. We need to get our transfer business finished early. It's been my biggest complaint about this club for years is that we just don't move early enough. It's like we wait until the transfer window opens to start the planning process, to start talking to other clubs, to start talking to other players. There's no rule that says you have to do that. Other clubs announce their signings months before there was a period, I think a couple of years ago, where Dortmund signed a left back, and they announced it like in November, and he wasn't even coming till the summer or something. Like, you're allowed to do this shit. Like, it's freaking annoying, dude. Oh yeah, Mad Hatter. I broke that down yesterday when we were talking about Cobby, and after the Fulham match, like we almost all 4 midfielders should not be starting week in week out. Like they shouldn't. If you look at it on paper, we definitely need help in midfield. Cobby, I think, is going to be fine, but he's still young. He shouldn't be starting. Trini Red Devil says, "Bring in Xavi now." Ugh. Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with you necessarily. Are we at that point already where we're already thinking about this? Do I already have to put together an Amorim replacement stream? I really don't want to. I don't want to have to do that. Like, is that where we're at now? Is it's not. I'm not criticizing fans. I'm just criticizing like it's more of a commentary on just where we are as United fans and where the club is. Like, are we already talking about replacements and who's going to replace him? This is ridiculous, dude. Um, oh boy, Johnny says I'm tired of Dallow's post-match comments. The guy makes statements about team performances. Yeah, Dallow. I mean, I wouldn't read too much into what people say during the press conferences, aside from what we're going to talk about from Amorim. But from like Dallow's comments to me read like the normal kind of just politically saving face kind of safe comments to make. Like, and he's not the first player that said that though. That it's don't look at Amorim. We're the players. We're the ones at fault kind of thing. Let's see. Yeah, Ahmad wasn't great. Definitely struggled. Definitely lost the ball cheaply a couple times. And he was guilty of doing a lot of the same things that I've said. Just holding on to the ball a little too much sometimes. We do that in general. Too many players just, especially when we're chasing the game, we just go rogue. They hold on to the ball. They get tunnel vision. Everybody was guilty of it at several points. Just Mbumo, Cunha, Ahmad, everybody, and Dorgu. Just you have to pass and move. You got to pass the ball quicker. That was one of the things that Fergie knocked out of Ronaldo early on. Is he was holding on to the ball too long, and he told his teammates in training just muller him until he learns to pass the ball, and he coached it out of him. I don't think Ahmad's overrated, personally, but I do think that he's having a rough start to the season for sure. Yeah, please do hit that like button, guys. Get involved in the poll as well. What's that poll up to so far? 40% of you think Ineos are going to stick with him. All right. Trini says, we are not a serious club anymore if Amorim keeps his job after losing, getting knocked out by Grimsby. I mean, it's a big shout, man. You guys agree? Let us know. Let me see. Bexy says, even though last was terrible, signing the right player in midfield will make us kick on. We'll see. I'm personally not of the mindset that a single manager or a single player is going to make any difference. Personally, I think the problems in the rot are too deep. I do think it's systemic, and I do think it's completely over. Like everything needs to get changed, but because we've signed many players and it doesn't make a difference. We've signed so many managers and it doesn't make a difference. There's not one single thing and that's what I said. The problems are not simple, and that means the solutions are even less so, man. Onana needs an X-ray on his hands to see if he's missing some bones. Honestly, I can't the shootout. He was decent. Like his save was very, very good. He got one hand on it, like it was good save, and he got his hand to a lot of stuff. He's got to be stronger. And some of his misses were just ridiculous. Rob thinks Amorim is going after his comments. We got thoughts on that. I'm not even anywhere close to being done with my notes yet. I'm just getting caught up on the chat, you guys. Trini says, we lost to Grimsby for fuck's sake. Yes, we're at that point. I don't want to be at that point, but we are at this embarrassing and terrible. He needs to go ASAP. Well, I guess it depends like how much blame you put on Amorim for the result and how much you put on the players, because if it's the players, then it's really difficult to say. But again, coach has got to coach. So Bexy thinks Amorim's in the sea without a life wrap. He hasn't acted on the issues in play, which has created a serious issue. The guy's going to be sacked. Let's be real. Last season was a car crash. It's up to Ineos at this point, isn't it? But again, if the players are downing tools again already after they don't like the system or something, then how can we excuse the players again? I Am Titanium says, I've made up my mind about this manager after the Europa League final. Big shout, man. Big shout. Warbzo, welcome back. Says, I hate the idea of bringing another manager. Oh, we lost you. But I can't get on board with this one system idea at the absolute top level. I just don't think it's sustainable. The best always adapt. Yeah, I think it's balance. I don't have a problem with coaches kind of looking at certain opposition and setting up in a certain way. But again, what Amorim's trying to do is not necessarily about formation. It's not even necessarily only about system, but it's also about just mentality. And that's going to be the most difficult thing to change with these players, because we've seen for many years, these players just don't have it. And the new players that Ineos have been signing, you can tell that it's something that they're really looking at bringing in terms of their characteristics. They want players that have mentality, who fight, who have resilience. And the new signings look like they do have it. Dorgu, Cunha, De Ligt, Mazraoui. Ugarte has mentality. He doesn't have quality, but he's got mentality. Yoro as well. Like, these players are standouts when it comes to their mental toughness. It's just they're still in squads with other players who for years have just been not good enough in that regard, and it's hard. You're only going to go as fast as the slowest person you're with, and I think these other players are kind of dragging us down a little bit. But again, if you want the system change, then Amorim's got to go, because if it's a system thing, then that's an Amorim thing. It's an Ineos thing. Ineos knew what system he was playing. They knew work would need to be done, and if that's the problem, then Amorim's got to go, because you don't want every manager just to change their system. There's a reason we brought Amorim in. Like if we got Nagelsmann, we wouldn't expect him to stop playing the way he plays. If you wanted to get Jose Mourinho, you wouldn't expect him to stop playing the way he plays. If you did, then why get each manager, right? I talked about that yesterday. I don't have a problem with him changing. Like we saw a little bit last year, if you guys remember, there were periods where we would kind of sit back, soak up pressure, play a little bit more counterattacking against certain opposition. We did that against Spurs and whatnot. And then there are times where we are a little more aggressive. So he has shown that he can. I think maybe he's feeling the pressure a little bit. Maybe he's just, I don't know. Bexy says Onana was rubbish in the pens. I'll give him credit for getting a hand to like 4 of those shots, maybe 5. I can't remember. But again, I don't go too hard on keepers for pens necessarily. It's not the easiest. I mean, it's not supposed to be. Pens are supposed to be in open play. Pens are supposed to be the award for, the attacking side. But he did well to make the save. I'll give him that. But it is what it is. Trini says, we have a manager who hides and looks away, and we're having a shootout against Grimsby. Yeah, and we'll talk about that. And because, again, Trini, you kind of led right into my next point, which is the fact that my biggest issue with Amorim yesterday was that what he sat in the dugout during that shootout, unable to watch the proceedings, playing with a toy. I don't know what he was doing. That to me was a problem. I get that he's frustrated. I get that it got to that point that he didn't want it. He didn't think it should have gotten to pens. I agree. But in that moment, you have to rise above the emotion. You have to rise above that frustration. You have to get behind your players. You have to show some solidarity. What he did in that moment, Amorim, was not good leadership. It was not good coaching. It did not send, in my opinion, a positive message to the players. You could say it was tough love, but I just don't think that helps at all. And overall, I mean, if you want to get down to a bigger picture when it comes to Amorim, like part of the system is I don't like how slow we are in the buildup. I've said it many, many times. Our buildup's way too slow. I'm getting very frustrated that it seems like we intentionally slow things down to invite that press, to attempt to play it through the press, around it, over it, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter when you're chasing the goal. The other team is not going to press you like that. They're going to sit deep, and then it doesn't matter. And then you're just relying on being able to break them down. And when you don't have players on the pitch who can do that with good movement, like if you're chasing a goal against Arsenal and they're sitting back deep, you need someone like Mané, you need someone like Ahmad, you need movement in that box. You can't just rely on speed and power like Cunha and Mbumo, because there's no space for that to work. We wait too long to get off a shot when we do get into the final phase, and many players were guilty of that. Cunha had a chance cutting in from the left that he really should have done. He carried that ball across the edge of the box, and it was one fake and another, and then he finally took the shot, but by then it was too late. You needed to take that shot like 2 touches earlier. Too slow, too hesitant, too wasteful, and that's partly a player thing when we get the ball into the final phase, but in the build-up, that's a system thing, which I don't like at all. What do we got going on here? Let me get caught up again. You guys are all sorts of it. I Am Titanium says the ball kept slipping under his gloves. I mean, it was. I was surprised the game went on. We saw the lightning strike. I don't know what it's like in the Premier League, but here, at any level, there's a lightning strike. It's a mandatory 30 minutes, and then you wait and see. I've been to matches where the game's been called off. I've been to matches where it's been like a 2-hour rain delay before. Like it happens. That pitch was absolutely waterlogged. You could see the ball just did not want to move at certain points. I would hate to be a keeper facing shots, especially you got these low-driven shots, the ball's skipping all over the place. Now, again, you guys know I don't rate Onana, but I always do like to give credit where it's due. His save in the pen was good, and I thought he did decently well to get his hand to a couple. He should have stopped a couple more, but it is what it is. Trying to be balanced. Bexy says, Amorim had a bit of a breakdown last night. He knows he's in trouble. I almost think he knows that he just doesn't want to be here anymore, man. Danny says, it's all on Ineos, in my opinion. Never backed him properly, as you said. They knew how he wanted to play. Ashford said stick with Eric Ten Hag a little longer or hire a Premier League experienced coach. It keeps things simple. Yeah, I think that it's hard because, again, we can't complain about the players for all these years and then turn around and demand that every single manager adapts and caters to the players that we have. We can't say that these players need to be sold and then turn around like, well, we got to play because that's who we have. Like, at some point, you got to start the process, and the process will have this bit of an overlap where you're going to have the players that we don't like with the new players, and there will still be some hiccups. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just laying out the facts of what a proper rebuild is going to be like. Now, at the end of the day, the most important thing is just getting it right. That's the biggest question. Is Amorim the right guy? We've gone through 6, 7 others who were never the right guy, but this is the first time Ineos have been doing this. And so it's really going to speak a lot to what they think. How soon will they know if Amorim's the right guy or not? Like, it's hard. I Am Titanium says, when the going got tough, Ruben was hiding. Yeah, and I'm very critical of that. Like I just laid out. Like I thought I'm not going to go cowardly with it because it is what it is, but to me, it was not what you want to see. When you're a player, when you're struggling, especially if you're a player who misses one and you're walking back to that center circle with your teammates and you look over and you don't see your manager or you see him with his head down, like that would be hard for me to feel supported and to feel led as a player if I looked over and saw that. That would be really frustrating. Matt Hatter says, Amorim was acting like Bruno on the bench, sulking and hiding. I think he was frustrated, man. I think he might have been sulking, but I think he's frustrated and he kind of said so after the fact. Like, it should not have gotten to that point. And he said, like, Onana should never even had to touch the ball. And he's partly right. It's probably a little disrespectful to Grimsby to say that, but he's absolutely right. Trini says, it's embarrassing. I've never felt this embarrassed. Don't feel embarrassed, man. You're not the one on the pitch. Like I told someone earlier, it's the players can be embarrassed. Amorim can be embarrassed. We don't have to be embarrassed. We can just be annoyed and support them, but demand better. That's all we can do. Danny says, Onana should have been subbed at halftime and told he's never wearing the shirt. That should have happened 2 years ago, Danny. It should have happened after the Champions League exit under Ten Hag. It should have happened for sure, bro. We lost 4-0 MK Dons under Louis van Gaal, but it was heavily rotated squad with youth players. I mean, that was pretty much what we had last night too. It was a heavily rotated squad. We had 2 youngsters in defense, which is an important part of the system, right? And yeah, the youngster Fredrickson probably majorly at fault for that first goal, but again, he's young. Like, that's not on. Like, where's Maguire? Where's Onana? Where's the leaders to kind of talk to him and like instruct him in those moments? All he needed to say was like, watch the back post, and all Fredrickson had to do was just look. But instead, he gets literally within a couple yards of Maguire to try to, for some reason, double mark one player, and there's a player at the back stick, and we concede a goal. I don't blame Onana for that one, but other than maybe hiding, or I mean, not talking. But yeah, I remember that Dele Alli guy. I don't even know where he is now. Last time I saw Dele Alli, he was training with Como, but I don't know where he went from there. But getting back to my notes here. Again, I will say this for Ineos. They may be slow. They may take forever, right? And they may not have prioritized, but the players that they've identified and the players that they brought in have looked up for it mentally compared to the rest of the squad. Like I've said, Dorgu, Dalit, Mazraoui, Zirkzee. Zirkzee came on yesterday and was a revelation. He was fighting. He was getting stuck in. What a breath of fresh air that was. Cunha, et cetera, et cetera. These guys look up for it. They fight. They've got energy. They haven't yet been infected, I think, by the negativity of the rest of the squad. They haven't seen their resilience and their fight get sucked from them like it's Space Jam. You guys remember. Legends will know. Even Ugarte, like I said, even maybe quality-wise is not there, but mentally he's a fighter. And I like that. I like that he doesn't back down and shit, and he doesn't give up. The rest of the squad are just too used to just this collective lack of resilience, this collective complacency, this culture of just giving up and deflection when things don't go their way. We've spent too many years buying technical players and not buying enough warriors, not enough mentality monsters, not enough players who can see the positivity infect the rest of the squad rather than the negativity just continue to overpower everything. I say again, you can't simply coach that into these guys overnight or even over the course of a few seasons. Honestly, some of these players who have weak mentalities are never going to change. That's why Sancho's not here. That's why Garnacho's leaving. That's why Rashford's gone. Some of them refuse to change, and that's part of it too. In therapy, We have what's sometimes called not a good candidate for therapy. That means there's too much resistance, too much just unwillingness to change from a client, and they're not a good candidate for therapy. Rather than waste their time and their money, we have that chat with them. Sometimes it's a matter of how you either decide, do you want therapy or do you want to not do therapy anymore? You have to get rid of these weak players. You have to get rid of these bad apples. You have to get rid of the people who just aren't up for it mentally. It is what it is. At least Mbumo got himself a goal, and it was a good goal. To be fair, I liked it a lot. But then he missed that pen. It was a poor pen too, off the crossbar. I just don't get that. Grimsby did exactly what they needed to do. They pressed us high. They were dangerous on corners, like we said they were going to do, and we paid for it. Is he still at Como? Interesting. Trinity's got fans. Poor guy. Honestly, I said this last year too, and I've said it to, like, I know a guy who's a Liverpool fan that I see now and then. Like, and I've said this on the channel. Like, honestly, I'm unbanterable. There's literally nothing that any rival fans can say to me right now that I haven't said about this team and this players. We're shit. What else you got for me? This is like the rap battle in 8 Mile at the end. Like, tell these people something they don't already know about me. Come at me. I took all your banter and I've already said it about this club. I'm not playing on this club. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed by it. I'm annoyed. I'm frustrated. And I demand better, but I'm not embarrassed because I'm not on the pitch. I guarantee you, if I was on that pitch, I'd be giving way more effort than some of these players, though. Don't matter if I'm slower. Don't matter if I'm weaker. Doesn't matter if I don't have a good enough shot or whatever. I still would put 110% of myself into that. I would leave everything on the pitch. And I don't see that from a lot of these players. I know you guys would too. So what do you guys think of the performances? Kabi got his start. Did he do enough with it after all the drama over the last couple of days, most of which I think was nonsense? Go check out that video if you haven't yet. What did you think of Shesko in his first start? Onana, I mean, we all know Onana. Horrible for 90 minutes. Big blame for the corner kick. Cunha honestly looks like our best player at the moment. He and Dorgu. It's a shame that he's not really found the back of the net quite yet. But I think I'd like to think that his mentality is going to raise the squad, but so far it's not really doing that. What do you think Amorim learned from his players? I thought the subs came on, and I think the subs helped, but I think it was too little too late at that point. I think that some of the players who started didn't show that they can be relied upon to start, that they're not quite ready yet. But what do you guys think he learned? Let me know what you think. Yeah, that's right, man. His real name is Clarence, and Clarence lives at home with both parents. Clarence's parents have a real good marriage. Yep, I grew up and went to high school in the early 2000s. I've seen these movies. Big up. Legends know what I'm talking about. But in terms of Amorim's, how he's felt, we've talked about it a couple times. It sounds like he's not very happy. This is some of what he had to say yesterday. Same old shit, right? Says, I would like to say very, very smart things, very important things. I have nothing to say. Nothing to say. That is the biggest problem also. To see the same mistakes and nothing to say in this moment. I'm really sorry for our fans. It's too much sometimes. He's not happy. And he made some comment to he was talking to some journo who was asking him about like formation, and he could tell he was getting frustrated with seeing this shit, because he's like, no, it's not about the formation. It's not about that. And I agree. It isn't about the formation. It's not even necessarily about this system. It's about the mentality and the ability of these players, the physicality. They're not fit. They're not mentally tough. And he doesn't look happy with the players, like, at all. He had to say this. He said this. This is probably the biggest telling statement of this interview that I thought. He said, I think the players spoke really loudly about what they want today. Something has to change, and you're not going to change 22 players again. I want your thoughts on that statement. I really want to know what you guys think about that. Is that some sort of hidden message? Is that something getting lost in translation because English isn't his first language? They spoke really loudly about what they want today. What do you think he means by that? What do you think he means the players want? And he said this was a little back and forth here. Amorim, the team and the players spoke really loud for me today. Interviewer, what do you mean? Amorim, you know what I'm talking about. What does that mean? Now, Amorim also said the better team won, and he also said they were the only team on the pitch. These players are really driving this guy who came in here. He was positive. He was smiling. They are driving this guy into a very low, very dark, very angry place right now. He looked absolutely livid. I could feel it from the television, the anger, the frustration from him in that interview. It was literally radiating off of him. The interview, you could also hear in the interview's voice. I almost got the sense the interviewer was afraid to press a little further. I mean, it is, and I get it. Like, no offense to Grimsby, but Amorim should have been able to stay home. He shouldn't have been. He shouldn't even had to show up. Like, he should have pulled a Jurgen Klopp and just not gone. Yeah, guess what? Jurgen Klopp didn't go to domestic cup matches. That's how much he rated that. So it's it's so annoying, dude. It's so annoying. Amorim, I am Titanium says talking less might have helped us, Ruben. You clown. Yikes, harsh. Rob says it could mean the players want to change the system or the manager. Yeah, and maybe he's hinting at that. Maybe he's saying the players are already kind of downing tools. The players aren't really doing what he's telling them to do, that they're just kind of doing what they want or whatever. If so, that's a problem. That's a big problem. While we talk about same shit, different day, another thing that hasn't changed is everybody talking about sacking a manager less than a year into the job. Everybody's talking about him getting sacked. Honestly, with some of these comments, I think either he could walk before that even happens. Like, I think he could probably just say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this. Or, there's no point. I get that. Or even just admitting, like, you know what, I'm not the guy for the job. I'm going to leave. The players clearly aren't responding. Maybe he's got that. But he's making increasingly bold statements in these interviews, and maybe that could be enough to see Ineos moving him on. I don't know. He also, wrong one. It's a little embarrassing. It really is, but it is what it is. Teresa says, I wonder how many heads rolled, wonder what got broken. Well, reportedly, Amorim got back in at so they got to Carrington or whatever. They left at 1 a.m. or something. I don't remember. And he got back in at 7. And then the players got in at 11, reportedly, is what I saw this morning. I'm not sure what that means, though. But again, he also said it's not as simple as formation. Even if you, let's say for 1 second, if you want to say the system is the problem, again, like I said, then you blame Ineos for appointing Amorim, knowing full well this is how he plays. Like, Ineos knew that. Be prepared for a painful and expensive rebuild if Ineos believe that Amorim is enough, and they back him and they want to do what Liverpool wouldn't and completely rip everything apart. They've already started a rebuild under him. I do think, though, that what we've seen, which does kind of make me feel like it won't be as painful maybe if we sack another manager, is that Ineos aren't just buying players for the manager now. They're buying, Dorgu was a target long before Amorim got here, for instance. They're buying players that suit this mentality, this physicality of what we're trying to do at the club. They've looked at the changes that we need, and they're looking at the players that have those characteristics, and those are the players they're targeting. Those players should be enough to work under any manager, under nearly any system, necessarily, depending on where you play them. And I think that's why we're trying to get to a point where it's more about the club identity, and the manager needs to suit that identity. I just don't know if Amorim, he has the mentality, he has that push for that in his players, but again, maybe it's just not the right fit. I don't know, because it will be a painful, expensive rebuild if we stick with this guy. And that's not me saying Amorim out. I'm just saying this is part of the process when you've got a manager who's very system specific. And I don't think, again, that complaining about the system is good, because it lets these players off the hook. If you say it doesn't suit the players, the same players that we complain about week in, week out, it completely lets them off the hook. We can't complain about them and then also demand that every manager change their system to suit them. It can't have it both ways. If you say that they don't buy into his system, then of course it won't work. If a player is not giving 100% to a system, the system's never going to work. The players' hearts aren't in it, and they're not giving 100%, though, then it's doomed from the start. Then you've already lost the dressing room if they're not behind you, and then it's doomed. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's again, like I said before, the problems are not simple, and the solutions are even less so. It's hard to know where to point the finger. Rob, he ain't leaving Spurs. He just went to Spurs, bro. Rob says, and stuck with the system apart from the final and got pushed out. Yeah, and it happens. It does happen. I'm not saying don't do it. You guys know, I'm just gonna put out all the context, all the possible scenarios, all the possible reasons, and let you guys kind of let me know how you feel. Yes, Rob, hit those like buttons. Good little discussion we're having here. So again, hard to know where the problems lie. How is it that a handful of negotiation personnel, Murtaugh, Arnold, Woodward, all these guys, Wilcox, Barada, how is it dozens of coaches that we've had throughout the years? How is it all these players that we've signed, 50 players since 2014, and two completely different ownership groups? How can we have go through all this and it's still wrong after more than a decade? What is it about this club? Is the rot just too deep? Did the hole that the Glazers put us in just put us too far down? Is it just impossible to climb out without taking another 10 years of a proper rebuild to do it? Did we just wait too long to start a proper rebuild? And now that's just the process. How is it we can literally go through so many changes on and off the pitch and it's still wrong? How is that even possible? At some point, something's got to give. And I repeat, at least Ineos' signings are mentally up for it. Whereas the previous ones, maybe they were technical, but they lacked resilience, they lacked fight, they lacked humility, especially when the shit hits the fans. I'm talking about guys like Pogba, Sancho. These guys just didn't have it when the shit got tough. There's a reason that shit stinks. It's so we can smell it before it hits the fan. There's opportunities to avoid dealing with it if you're alert and humble enough and self-aware to recognize it. Again, the problems are rarely simple, solutions even less so. As fans, I do think, too, we need to get away from this whole grass is always greener mindset. Things are not going to magically change if Amorim's sacked or if he walks or if we sign player A or player B. They haven't changed in 12 years of this shit. The grass is greenest where you water it. That's plain and simple. But you have to make sure you plant the garden, you plant the grass in good ground. And sometimes that means manager's not right. Sometimes that's what it means. The grass is going to grow where there's good ground and when you water it. That's part of it. Sometimes you don't know until you try. Sometimes you don't know if Amorim is right until you give him a shot. International break is looming. Amorim desperately needs it. Not only a result against Burnley, we need a convincing performance against Burnley. Like I said the other day, Ineos have already spoken to managers in the past. Xavi is one of them. He's still out there when they were looking at Ten Hag replacements. He's still a free agent. I don't want to have to think about Amorim replacement videos, though. I really don't want to have to do that. It's so annoying. What are you guys saying here for this poll? Let me check in with you guys. 26 votes. It is shifting here. 38% of you think that Ineos will stick with him. 35% of you think he's going to get sacked during this next break we've got coming up just in a couple days. 4% think it might last till the summer, and 23% think that he will walk away on his own. Interesting stuff. Let me see what y'all saying up here. DJ, what up, dude? Hey, been a long time back. Welcome back. Good to see you. Danny says it's Glazers and the Pogba curse. It's again, there. I wish if you had more fingers, we can start looking at problems. But again, there's just no way to figure out what the issue was. Maybe that's the issue. There were all these. It's kind of like cheating, right? We're going into a different realm here. Cheating, adultery, is never just one decision. It's a series of decisions that at any point in time you had the opportunity to change, right? It's like 1 degree off doesn't look like much at the start, but the less and less times you spent kind of correcting that course, that 1 degree is getting further and further and further and further and further away. And eventually, after 12 years of that, we are so far apart, even after that 1 degree, that one decision, that the distance to get back to where we need to be is big. It's a huge distance, a lot of ground to cover, a lot of ground to make up. Maybe that's where we're at. I don't know. But cheating, yeah. Several decisions lead to one big decision because of just any point in time you could have chose something differently. It's really annoying, man. DJ says people are suggesting Iriola, Glasner, forgetting United is not Crystal Palace or Bournemouth. The pressure is really toxic. Yeah, and maybe that's it. Maybe it's just you really have to look. Maybe you need to prioritize the manager like we're prioritizing the players, mentality, resilience, who can handle the pressure. We've tried that. We've tried that with guys like Louis van Gaal, who've won big. We've tried that with Jose Mourinho, who's won almost everything there is to win. It hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Teresa says, before anything gets better, you've got to hit rock bottom. It's a work in progress. And like I said, sometimes it is like a bow and arrow. You got to go backwards to go forwards. And the problem is you have to identify whether or not, just like the grass is greener analogy, you have to identify if the manager is the right manager to start. And that could be a problem. DJ says, I think after the next manager is sacked, then we can do the clear out. I mean, you have Sancho doing a selfie at Carrington yesterday before the game. We're already starting the clear out. Ineos have backed Amorim when it comes to clearing out problem personalities like Rashford, Garnacho, Sancho. They backed Ten Hag with Sancho. Like, we've already started that. And I think that's the biggest issue personally. But is that clear out necessarily down to just Amorim, or is that something that we've been trying to do? I don't know, man. Let's see what y'all are saying. Keep getting involved. Let me know what you think about these comments, and what you think overall. Get your thoughts in on the match, the performance, who stood out, who failed the audition. What did you think of Kobe starting? Couple little bit of transfer tidbits to wrap up here. So guys, make sure you like and make sure you subscribing. Check the memberships as well. Go check out the UV store. You can get your hands on something like the Class of 92 shirt like I'm rocking today. Every design is available in a lot of different types of shirts, t-shirts, hoodies, and whatnot. There's even some baby shit in there if you guys have children. Go for it. Couple little transfer tidbits. So Matteo Moretto, you guys know he hangs out with Fabrizio Romano a lot. He reports that we could be set to see Tyrell Malacia leave, albeit maybe on loan. He reports that Elche are actually interested in Tyrell Malacia on loan. Now, he also adds that other clubs are also interested in Malacia. Lille was the club that he mentioned as well. I don't know what happened at some point in time where we just stopped knowing how to sell players and we were only able to loan players out, but that shit's got to stop. Sell the players. We don't want to have, like, Hoyland saw this and was like, no, if I leave, obligation to buy. Although obligation means fuck all these days, Jadon Sancho. But Malacia's just got to go. I don't care if it's 5, 6, 4 million. He's just got to go. I'm not trying to make it personal because I don't have a problem with Malacia. He's just not good enough. But I don't want to have to be dealing with this shit in another year. The guy is 26 years old, I think. He's got to go. Just go someplace, man. I don't know. Go to freaking Runs or something. Isn't that where Truffar came from? The guy who went to Bournemouth to replace Kirkes. Like, they need a left back. Go back to the Dutch league. Go join Ten Hag at Leverkusen. I don't know. No more loans. Permanent sale, please. Somebody asked earlier about Sen Lamens. So the only update we got today on Sen Lamens is Romano reports again. We're still negotiating with Antwerp. Taking forever to get these deals done, though, is just, again, like I said a couple times today, the one thing I wanted us to avoid doing going into the summer window, and we still ended up doing it. And again, we're seeing exactly the reason why I said that. These players are taking a little time to catch up to speed. They're not fit. They're not up to sync with the system, and whoever you want to call it. Like I said, the theme of today's show has been the more things change, the more they stay the same, right? It's freaking annoying, dude. Let's see. Agile says, what's up? It's early. Is it early for you? It's only about 11 a.m. for me, man. Rob says, if Amorim was to go, could some of the bomb squad return to the fold? I hope not. We can't let them do that. We literally can't. If it's a personality thing, we can't let them do that. Because, again, we can't just keep giving them chance after chance. Garnacho had personality issues and discipline issues. His first preseason with Ten Hag, he was already being disciplined. Rashford, I think, just doesn't want to be here anymore. Sancho has had problems not only with Ten Hag, but he's had problems with every club that he's been at. He's got to go. Anthony's just not good enough. I don't have a personality problem with Anthony. He's just not good enough. Malacia, not good enough either. I'd love also to see Dallo get sold, Shaw get moved on. If we can throw Shaw and cash at Brighton or at Crystal Palace for either Baleba or Wharton, that would be great, especially if Palace lose Mark Guehi. Throw them Shaw, throw them Maguire. I don't care what you have to do. Let's get something done because we need help in midfield. Danny says the board needs sacking. Whoever's in charge of a lot of this shit, they need to have a look in the mirror. Hilver and Mason, welcome to the channel. Good to see a new face. I understand with the manager, we are not in the manager position. Yeah, it's good to empathize, right? That's good. It's a good reminder. We're not in position. We don't know what Amorim is going through, but at the same time, the nature of the job is results. He's got to get results. And every little decision he makes has big impact, big consequences, just like pebbles in a pond. They still make big ripples. I'm not saying he needs to abandon his principles. I'm not saying this or that. I'm not saying sack him necessarily. I'm saying he's all he has to do is find a way to get results. So whatever he thinks the issue is, he's got to find a solution. We have a lot of people at the club that are highly paid to do this. We paid a lot of money to bring him and his coaching staff here. he's got to deliver or else he's going to get sacked. It's just the way it is. That's part of this. That he knows the nature of the job. He knows that he's got to find solutions, but it sounds to me like he's getting more and more frustrated with the players than anything. DJ says, we need a strong manager, strong players like Emi Martinez, bully players who have the mentality to stay strong. We do have very soft players. I've said, though, that a lot of the players we've signed under Ineos are not soft. Some of them, not all of them are technically great. Like, they're not quality. Like Ugarte, I don't think is necessarily great. But you can't argue that none of them, that they all don't have mentality. They've all been fine as far as the mentality standpoint goes, in my opinion, anyway. Rob says Amorim was Barada's pick. Remember, Liverpool met with him. City wanted him too. Like, they see something in him. But even City, they're not united. Yeah, I think the Lamon situation is getting on my nerves. Again, it's easy to look at that and say, why isn't Amorim getting a keeper? It's not up to Amorim. All Amorim can do is say, guys, I want a new keeper. And then it's up to the rest of Barada, Wilcox, the board, Sir Jim, to make that happen. Managers have very little to do with this kind of shit. They have nothing to do with the fees or the wages. And so this ain't FC 25 where you decide everything in manager mode. That's not the way it works. And we're not doing that anymore at United, where we're like, Amorim, who do you want, pal? We don't do that anymore. Rob says the outgoings have been a bad joke. Yeah, it's been rough, mostly just because it's not as easy to sell players as you think, and it's infinitely harder at United when we pay them too much and they have problems or they're just shit. Any one of those characteristics, any one of those little factors would make the sale difficult. But when you've got all three of those factors with any one of these players, it's just like, just give us what you can. Give us a bag of crisps, chips, as we call them here. I'm so excited to go back. DJ thinks Zirkzee looked amazing. Yeah, he looked sharp. He looked ready to go. Problem is, where does he play, right? He's probably going to be rotated in as striker or dropping into one of those 10 roles here and there, or maybe like a false 9 situation like we saw with Mount. Honestly, we'll talk about Burnley. I might just drop Mount to the 6, drop Bruno to the bench, and go with that and see what happens. Give Bruno an international break to think about what the shit's going on right now. Darren, welcome. Says there are a few quotes that maybe think he could walk away, but nobody has reported he will go. I imagine that the noise will be a lot louder on him leaving today. Well, big up. Yeah, this is the first time with Amorim that I'm like, this guy looks like he could walk away. Not because he's not getting back, but because these players are just like, it's like imagine you're a teacher, and Dylan, if you're probably not watching your work, but Dylan's a teacher, and you're trying, and the kids are just, they're not wanting to learn. They're disruptive. They're just trying to joke around. At some point, you're just like, what the hell, dude? Like, this is ridiculous, man. Let's see what we got here. Danny says, delete your best players mentality. Yeah, Mizraoui, I might put up there as well. He's got the mentality. I think Cunha's definitely got the mentality. Dorgu's got the mentality as well. It's such a difficult characteristic to quantify and measure. Like, you can't put on a chest thing. You can't put on like a heart rate monitor. There's no metric in FBref or Opta for like mentality or resilience. That's part of what I'm wanting to work with the PFA, is learning how to incorporate resilience measures and things into the scouting and the academy process, so you can work with players on that from a young age before they get to first team football. That's what I would like to do. That's why I'm in that PFA program, but we'll see. It's a long route. We got several months to go until this class is over with. But DJ says, do you think we sign a midfielder because Ugarte is looking lost? Casemiro has no legs. Sekou Kone is injured. Well, Sekou Kone probably will be back in the next couple of weeks. He will be wearing a mask for a while, though. But I would like to see us sign a midfielder. It was a big priority for us. I wanted a goalkeeper, a striker, and we definitely needed midfielders for sure. Again, who knows what's going on? We've got less than a week to go. Yes, something could still happen. If you ask me now if I thought we would, as far as midfielder goes, I'd probably say no. But it doesn't mean I want that. I just don't think it's going to happen. But we'll see what happens, dude. Danny says we needed one in July. Yeah, we definitely need some help for sure. This system is very midfield centric, and none of the midfielders we have really get suited for it, unfortunately. So, what are you gonna do, you guys? We'll keep an eye on the news today. I've got clients today and stuff, and so if I've got time later, I will come back and do a match preview for Burnley. But if not today, then tomorrow for sure. But Keep a lookout. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you don't miss out. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Check those memberships. Check the UVE store. If you do want $5 off your United jerseys this year and you don't want to spend a ton of money, there's a link in the video description to go to GoGoalShop that hooked me up with a $5 off coupon. Use that code when you register. You get $5 off. I just ordered another one. I'll let you guys see it when it gets here. But well, let me do one more little thing on the chat here. What are you guys saying here? Rob says, apart from the result, it was gripping and exciting game. The team made it out of place where even the Seagulls carry machetes. Honestly, I'm thrilled for the Grimsby fans. Like, the way they rushed the pitch, awesome. But at the end of the day, it came at our expense, and that's not happy. I think that it should be mandatory that all these early round matches should be played at the lower team grounds. I think that's massive help for them too. Like, we don't need that money. But Danny says, I wish they listened to your videos, what we would do with 200 million start of the summer. I remember doing that video. I remember when you asked me that in the chat one day, and I did that budget rebuild. It didn't take me more than 125 million to bring in 5 or 6 players that summer who instantly would have improved us. It is what it is, man. Like I said, and I commented, Danny, Wolves are hiring for an academy scout, dude. Go get it done. That's all you, brother. Hilford says, too many times is the managers being the problem. Everybody's got a different opinion, right, on what the problem is. Is it the Glazers? Is it the players? Is it the manager? Is it the lack of a structure? Like, again, I listed it off. We've had 2 different ownership groups. We've had all these different recruitment teams. We've had all these different players, all these different managers, all these different coaches, and nobody's gotten it right so far in over a decade now since Fergie left. How do we get it wrong every single time? How can so much constantly be wrong at this club? I just don't get it. But big up, man. Appreciate everybody for stopping by. Let me know your thoughts if you weren't able to catch the live, and I will maybe see you guys on the next one. Again, it could depend on news and also just time. I've got a couple clients, so getting time to put together the Burnley preview might be difficult. But until then, you guys take it easy, and I will see you guys on the next one.